Flashback about 15 years ago when Roman Abramovich came into Chelsea and the way he spent so much in his first window at Chelsea. Bowley is doing the exact same. Enzo Fernandez, when we all thought the deal was over and off the table until summer, he comes up with another 120 million and he offers Benfica a deal that they cannot refuse. Let's discuss that. Hello, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video. Hope you guys are doing well. Make sure to leave a like rating and subscribe below before we get into this video and discuss more about Enzo Fernandez, because right now, honestly speaking, I am a bit surprised. I thought we've just signed another player, Malo Gusto, a few days back, a right back, exactly what Chelsea needed, a backup to Reece James and a kind of a replacement for Aspi down the line, a 19-year-old for £27 million. But hold on, Bowley is not done yet. He is going to continue to spend as much as he can before that FFP rules comes into play back again in June about the 5-year contract situation. But Enzo Fernandez, a player Chelsea were kind of targeting even before the window opened, an outright clear midfielder. Chelsea do need him at any cost is what was being reported, but 120 million right now is the offer Chelsea have made. This is one of the final offers Chelsea will try and make before they leave it be for the summer, and Benfica have clearly said, well, we don't want Enzo leaving, so if you're not going to pay us a big fee, we're not going to let him go. And not just spending on Mudryk in attack, but also in a position where Chelsea have struggled this whole season. We've seen this outright. The amount of times everyone on Twitter, everyone on social media has basically gone and said our midfield is non-existent, and that's just what's happening right now. And with Enzo Fernandez, the campaign he had with Argentina for the World Cup, alongside the campaign that he's having at Benfica as well, is just incredible to see. There is no comparison right now. He's one of the best midfielders that a club could go for right now. Bowley at the moment is just trying to do what he can to bring Enzo to Chelsea as quickly as possible, because he knows himself that there's going to be so much competition for him in the winter that it'll be not worth fighting for. And the last thing Bowley wants is someone like Manchester City or even Arsenal at this stage to come in and sweep him away, and then you kind of sit there next season and see him flourish at Premier League level, and you kind of sit there and you go, well, that could have been us. We should have just jumped the gun and paid whatever Benfica were asking for. He's been predominant in the left-hand side as well as in the central areas for Benfica, which is exactly what Chelsea kind of need. We've lacked that talent or that kind of position or that kind of player up until Mason Mount started playing as an attacker and in the front three instead of a midfield role, which we talked about in one of the videos with Mason Mount. I'll link it also in the cards above as well as in the description below. But with Enzo Fernandez, I think he just offers so much both in attack as well as midfield. You kind of, the player we've been trying to extract out of Mason Mount to be able to control that midfield alongside create those chances in attack has just not been possible with Mason Mount. He's more of a central midfielder who can maybe carry the ball forward. We've seen how he played against teams as a midfielder comparatively to an attacker, which is why we prefer him to play as a midfielder. But Enzo's someone who can play in midfield, maybe on the left hand side if required. Yes, we've got Mudryk to be up there, but imagine him linking up with Mudryk and maybe Reece James alongside him on the right hand side, Chilwell on the left hand side. Bowley is cooking and doing something really special at the club, which I don't think I mind at all the amount of money we've been spending with him. And I do know I said this quite a few videos ago, and in a lot of the shorts that we've published on our social media pages as well, make sure to check them out as well, because they're a bit faster to roll out news on. But I did say that I don't know if I want to be paying so much for a midfielder like Enzo Fernandez. But at this point, I just feel like the underlying issues at Chelsea at the moment are the midfield itself. There are no other issues at Chelsea. If we look at the defense, it's pretty much solid with Badiashile coming in. We've signed a few more players, but Reece James being injured, Chilwell being injured once they come back, and you've got Thiago Silva, who's the rock of the defense at the moment. You can't really go from a good defense to improve it further unless you have a great midfield sitting in front of it. And the issue with Chelsea is that when we transition back it from attack into defense, we're unable to just control the ball, ease out the pressure, maybe stop their attack, just rebuild and compose ourselves before we want to try and defend and go back into an attacking situation. Those transitions that you need from defense to attack are just completely not possible unless Kante is in that team because of his pace and the fact that he can track back as soon as an attack is finished and be able to sit between the defenders and act as an extra defender or a defensive midfielder to help out there. And once we don't have those kind of players in the team, you expect Loftus-Cheek, maybe Mason Mount, and you attacking midfielders or the ball carriers up until the forwards to kind of come back and be those supporting roles. And Jorginho has just not been able to do that, which is why I think Enzo Fernandez is a good signing now. And I do agree that I did say that maybe us paying 120 million, and I think at that time we were reporting a fee of about 100 million pounds, it was too much. But I just feel like there's not a lot of options Chelsea have at the moment. Who are we going to target if not Enzo Fernandez? And that's something that does scare me, that we're spending a lot of money on him. But at the moment, I just feel like the amount of money that we've spent this window, we've spent it on a lot of these youngsters who are more or less likely to develop at Chelsea, if not go out on loans, impress, and maybe we can get the value back if worst comes to worst, they're not able to perform for Chelsea or play in the system that Potter wants us to play. And I just feel like Enzo's one of those players who will play incredibly well under this system, because it's been designed in a way where it requires you to have a strong midfield and a lot of the ball in midfield for you to be able to defend properly and to attack properly as well. So if we do get him and if we do sign him, which I think is probably going to be likely, because if Benfica disagree with 120 million plus a player deal, and from what has been reported, Benfica right now have the choice to kind of pick the player they want. Obviously, it has to be of a certain value and it can't be something out of the blue. And I don't expect anyone like Mason Mount or Reece James to be a part of that deal. But I do know for sure that if it is someone, Benfica will make sure that it's a youngster and it's someone they can get some value out of as well, because in the end of the day, Benfica were asking for something along the lines of 150 million and Chelsea went, no, we're not paying that at all. You can have 120 million, you can have 100 million, depending on what player you pick and you kind of want in your own team to replace Enzo Fernandez. And I feel like if it's Gallagher, if it's Loftus-Cheek, if it's one of those players, yes, we're going to be letting go of someone who can become a great at Chelsea. But at the same time, I feel like with Loftus-Cheek, that injury that he had, since then we've not just been able to see Loftus-Cheek bloom the way he had been for Chelsea so far, and the way the impact he'd had at Chelsea so far, which is kind of disappointing to see. And alongside Gallagher as well, I mean, that loan at Crystal Palace was good, and we kind of thought, oh, he's going to come back and fit into this midfield and create this kind of be the solution that we're looking for. And because he was playing the exact position as Mason Mount, you kind of thought, well, there's going to be a lot of competition between the two and both of them are going to strive off each other to try and improve themselves and come into this team. But that hasn't happened, and I just feel like it's quite the opposite that's happened. So if a deal comes in and Bowley has to pick between one of the midfielders to go, I think you've got Gallagher, you've got Loftus-Cheek as one of the two kind of players who might be part of this deal, who might be going off to Benfica at the end of the day. In the end, I think there's a lot riding on stake for Chelsea. At the same time, there's the reward that Chelsea do get if they do sign Enzo Fernandez is incredible. Off the ball, on the ball, he's amazing at switches and progression passing, as we talked about in a few videos about him and the analysis we did on the podcast. So make sure you check those podcasts out as well. Alongside that, comment below what you think about Enzo Fernandez and whether or not you'd have him in your team or not, and let us know what your thoughts are on him. Make sure to leave a like rating on this video, subscribe below for more content on Chelsea on every single day of the week, and follow us for more news like this throughout all of our social media pages throughout the season and the transfer window. Until then, stay safe. I'll see you guys next time.